Hello, Colfeians. This is the Colfeian Connection, the podcast which aims to connect members of the Old Colfeians Rugby Club in business. And I'm delighted to have Ed Livett here with me today. Eddie, how are you doing?
Very well, thank you. Excited to be here, and absolute pleasure to be one of the first, I think.
You are one of the first, indeed. Now then, let's kick things off with a little pre-game. Just tell me a little bit about your Old Colfeians Rugby Club history. You know, what teams you played for, what era, that kind of thing.
Sure. So I'm a Colfeian in its truest sense. So went to Colf school, left Colf school in 2007. And then played rugby for the club ever since then. So 2006, 2007 till technically now, but Bates and Alan Bates would probably dispute that. Unfortunately, age has sort of caught up with me a little bit. But I played pretty consistently during that whole time. Played throughout every team that I could. Majority lucky enough to be in the first team. But I played for the Vets all the way through to the 3 season ones, and had some great involvement over the years, coaching juniors as well. And so it's been my life pretty much, apart from work, for the good part of nearly 20 years, which is amazing to say.
Yeah, wonderful. Some captaincy in there as well, Ed, and obviously some landmark achievements in terms of appearances as well.
Yeah, I've captained the first team more than many first team captains have captained the first team, if you want to put it that way. So there's a slight issue that I have with Adam Hodgkiss there. I'm not on the board at Old Colfeians because I was never officially the captain, but I've luckily enough to have done it lots of times. And then played over 200 games for the ones, which was great. And I'm sadly sort of paying the price for that now physically. So hopping around.
You got to pay a price somewhere. Okay, let's get into the game. Obviously, the rugby is what's bringing us together, but this is about the business. So tell us, Eddie, about your business and what it entails.
Sure. So, I mean, it's family business, first and foremost. We're quite unique. It's called Livett's Launches, short, Livett's for short, but basically we're a marine services company. So we're based mainly on the River Thames. And we provide marine services to 2 industries mainly, and that's the filming industry, television and films and PR, and then the civil engineering industry. So that's working on London's bridges, on the riverside land on the Thames, providing all sorts of things from barges to tugs, safety boats. And so our business is pretty diverse and spreads across those 2 industries, which means we do all sorts of weird and wonderful things, mainly on the Thames. But over the last sort of 3 or 4 years, we've dabbled in doing filming anywhere in the world. So luckily enough, gone to last 12 months, I've been in Norway, I've been in Portugal, been in France, doing filming, which has been really, really great. So it's a hard one to explain in short, but if I was going to be succinct, it's marine services.
Nice. Okay. So, how do people find you for those services? Like, what is there some kind of business directory, or like how do people come across you?
So, I've got a pretty good website, which I'm happy with. That draws in a lot, but mostly in our game, it's word of mouth. You know, it's recommendations, it's past jobs, especially filming. Filming is an industry that's built on recommendations and peer reviews in the past. So we've done a hell of a lot with our track record to be successful and be consistent and reliable. And so that's how filming tends to work. But also with the marine civils game, that's an industry that moves very quickly where, you know, you might have done a job 10 years ago, but no one will be around to remember that. So with that, it's about being a bit more present online. And something probably which the website's great, but I don't do a huge amount otherwise. So that's probably somewhere where I need some assistance in the social media game in terms of business social media. It's something I definitely don't focus on. But I'm finding we've relied more and more always over the years on word of mouth, which has been okay, but I think it's probably not the be all and end all.
Yeah. What about the hospitality side of it as well, Ed, with the pleasure boats, as I would describe them?
Well, so we did that for a long, long time, and that's where the club and and our business intertwined a bit because did a few events on the boats, and then we had the pleasure of having a few old Colfeians work behind the bar. But we sold that business. We sold that business 3 years ago now. So that ran its course, and we were very lucky to be very successful for many years. But then we got out when we could during COVID, just after COVID, when the times were really tough in the hospitality industry. And now we just focus on filming and civil engineering, which is great, and is proving to be pretty successful at the moment.
Wonderful. Okay, so I'm really interested now in the worldwide picture of this. When you go to these locations, how do you have to go and source the boats there, like local boats and stuff like that, and local crew as well?
Yeah. So I've just done a job in Morocco, which was a hell of a challenge, and that was for Netflix. So that was a TV program, and my job there was basically employed as a sensible person, basically a sensible marine person. So the scene involved drug smuggling on a fishing trawler. That was the story. And so my job was to find the trawler for us to start with, find somewhere for us to film the location. It was filmed in Morocco, but we're supposed to be in Pakistan. So somewhere that looked generic enough to be both places. And then provide the safety around it on the day. And then also, if there's camera boats, drone boats, other picture boats, we will source and find those. And then again, local crew. So in Morocco, it was just me and a load of Moroccans, and we have a translator, and it was right. Good luck, see how you get on. And it was some hairy moments, but it went well in the end. But it was an experience and something that I really enjoyed, because for so long we've been on the Thames, all we've done is the Thames, London, and it's great. And I would never go away from that at all. It's our bread and butter. But doing something like that broadens your horizons. Travel is great, and makes you sort of a bit better, I think, at what you do, just to see how other people do it or how not to do it sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. Sounds very exciting. Now, you mentioned obviously the bread and butter being the Thames there. What are some of the things maybe that you've learned over the years about the Thames or about working on it that people may not know or understand, even if they've lived in London for forever?
Well, it can make you look very silly, that's for sure. So the Thames is tidal, right? So there's a 7-meter rise and fall of the Thames twice a day, every day. And so when filming or when planning any job, civil engineering, anything like that, you may look at it one day and then go back the other, and it looks completely different. And that weight and strength of tide dictates exactly what we do all the time. So it governs our daily activities, how we can fit under bridges, what time we can fit under bridges, how fast we can go, or the alternative, how slow we can go. I mean, the one journey one day will take you 20 minutes, and then the day after it'll take you an hour and a half because of the tide. And that's something that Londoners take for granted. They just look out the window and see the tide going up and down and don't really think too much about it. But it's everything to us. And if we get it wrong, it costs us big time financially and reputationally as well.
Yeah, I can imagine. You got any examples of when it's gone wrong?
Well, yeah, I mean, like last week, we did a job. You might have seen it. Some people may have seen it, may not have done. There was a giant football for Puma. So it was a giant launch of the new Premier League football. And quite a tried and tested thing on the river for PR companies is that when they're launching something new, they go, why don't we just get a really massive version of it and float it down the river? And then they ring me and say, look, we've got this great idea. Let's do this. And we go, yeah, sounds great. And so we've done giant, you name it, giant, we have done it. And the most recent was a giant football, inflatable football. And we had, the whole idea was that Tower Bridge was the goal. And so we're going to open Tower Bridge to kick the ball or nudge the ball through the goal, and it'd be the biggest goal ever scored. And so timing was pivotal for that. The bridge lift, you can book Tower Bridge lifts, right? So if your boat is big enough, Tower Bridge has to lift, and it's free as well, which is two things that people don't know normally. So it's a right of way, and you don't pay for it, but it has to be big enough. And so the ball was big enough, and we booked our bridge lift for 8:00, and then we leave where we put the ball on the barge. We left, and it was we were only traveling because it was so delicate. the ball, we could only travel 3 knots against the tide, which is walking pace. That's slower than Alan Bates off the back of a scrum, right? And so we missed our bridge lift. We were so late, right? And you can imagine the client then, pulling their hair out, and it wasn't particularly comfortable. But because of the relationships we had with Tower Bridge over the years, with the phone call, and they were able to give us another lift a bit later. So all's well that ends well. But it was a hairy moment and not a very comfortable one, and all because really the ball did something we weren't expecting it to do. It was more delicate than we thought it was going to be, and luckily we was fine, but it wasn't comfortable, I must say.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, fair enough. Okay, obviously this podcast is all about connecting people. So if people are having chats in a bar, and what kind of people do you help, and what maybe people that could partner with you and help you, what kind of people are we looking for here?
Well, I mean, we look at all sorts of different types of people. Creatives to one side, so creative people that are looking at pitching ideas. So, with the football, with any brand awareness campaign, if someone has an idea, then we more often than not can help bring that to life on the river or somewhere with water. That we can talk about feasibility, practicality, costs, all that sort of thing. That's one side of type of person we're looking for. Brand managers, people that manage accounts. In the media world is one world, and then filming obviously is very niche. But anyone that's planning any sorts of TV, documentary, film, anything with a camera, if there's water involved, I can probably help. And then on the other side of that is the hardcore side, as I see it, civil engineering side. Your civil engineers, your surveyors, your construction managers, all those types of people that are building or constructing or dismantling, getting their hands dirty. If it's waterside or it's on the river, then I'd be happy to help and happy to talk.
Fantastic. Okay, people listening, that's what we're looking for. Good stuff. Let's have a little halftime break now, Ed. And can you tell me about one of your favourite moments from your old Colfeian rugby days?
Oh wow. Well, it's got to be PC, right? I can't go because I'll leave tours out of it.
Yeah.
Although tours are always touring is something that was amazing and should always be done. But they would be some of my favourite times. On the pitch, probably the most obvious for someone in my era and personally was Camberley away for when we got promoted in the playoff up to whatever we'd call it, London 1 or whatever league it was called. You'll know better than me, Tim. But that was one of those times, rare times in sport in my career, unfortunately, where we were, we came as underdogs against a club that was paying their players and tipped to walk all over us, which they should have done on paper. And we went to their place and we won with rumptious and partisan Colfeian support. That was infamous, and the feeling then was fantastic. So, we play such a varied level of sport. Golf's, we're capable of genius, capable of absolute crap, or not so good rugby. And that was one of those days where it all came together and it was all worth it. And all those horrible nights training at Horn Park, with 12 people or 6 people, however many, that day was fantastic. And I think many, many, many people that were there will probably suggest that when asked that question, that would be their favourite time. So that, yeah, definitely Camberley away, 2017, I think it was. But
Is that right?
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, let's go into the second half now. And we had an interesting case study when things went wrong just before the break. But I know you've got hundreds of great stories about the things that you've done on the Thames. So just a few of those, Eddie, from sort of success stories for Livett's launches.
We're lucky. We've done lots of high profile stuff. So James Bond is always top of the list. So Spectre is the biggest stunt probably on the river that we've done in recent years, which was Daniel Craig driving a boat down the river and crashing into Westminster Bridge. That we provide all the marine support for that. So all the boats, all the people, all the drivers. My dad is obviously, as I mentioned, it's a family business. My dad was actually driving that boat. That's why I say driving. So he was hidden in a little box. So if you watch that movie and you watch Spectre and you see Daniel Craig flying down the river, you'll see a little postal box, and that's Dad's eyes in there driving the boat. So that's pretty cool. But we're lucky enough to have done 3 Bonds now, handful of Mission Impossibles, Harry Potter, Sherlock Holmes. So you name it, that we've done it. But in terms of like stunts, my biggest achievement in terms of stunts and the most uncomfortable I've felt, but the most proud I felt, was last summer we did a stunt for Red Bull. It was called Wings Through Tower Bridge. And it was the craziest thing you've seen. If you haven't seen it, just Google it, go on YouTube, have a little look at that stunt. 2 guys in wingsuits jumped out of a helicopter, flew through Tower Bridge, and then pulled their parachute and landed on 2 of our barges that we held underneath it. And watch, honestly, the video. It's, I mean, if your editing's good enough, cut that video in, because it is scary. I remember standing on Tower Bridge. My job was to place these barges that they were going to land on, and then provide the safety teams that if they missed the barges to go in and get them. So that went right to the wire, where the tide, as I mentioned earlier, was doing its thing. So it got to a point where if we didn't do it, the tide was going to change and the barges were going to move, and it was all going to be very uncomfortable. So it went right to the wire. It happened. They flew through Tower Bridge. The noise, I can still hear it now, them whistling through the bridge. And at that point, I felt utterly powerless to it. But it went well, and visually it was fantastic. And it was just one of those things that won't happen again. And it was great to be a part of. So recent times, I'd say that job was probably top of the list at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah. And what was the feeling that you felt when they landed correctly?
Well,
I'm assuming they did land
no,
correctly on the
one of them did. The other one missed. The other one missed the barge. So they went through, and the boys, they're called the Marcos, both called Marco brothers. And I spoke to them before, and it was like, how are you feeling about landing on going through the bridge? You're going to hit the bridge for a start. And how are you feeling about landing on the barges? You're going to land on the barge. And they were like, well, we'll go through the bridge. He said, we've done it. Done 14,000 jumps. It's not a problem. I said, but what about landing on the barge? He said, well, 50-50. And I was like, I don't really like those odds at all, because the Thames is tidal, it's horrible, it's smelly, it's got full of rubbish, And one of them, so they went through, everybody in the team, Red Bull team, and their team went crazy, very happy, but they hadn't landed. So I'm watching them landing. I'm trying to concentrate, saying, guys, these boys are still in the air. One landed on the barge perfectly, and then the other one fell short. And so he went into the water. But we'd done a training we had these super ex-military guys who were on our boats, and we swooped in and they got hold of him, got him on board, and he was absolutely fine. That was all trained and all planned before, and we practiced it and stuff. But when it was one of those things where you rely on your team. So I had the boys out there ready to go, and everyone had to be switched on. And more often than not, with our team, they're pretty good. So I felt powerless as soon as they jumped out of that helicopter. That was my job. I couldn't do much else, And luckily enough, they were brilliant, and it looked brilliant. So it was cool. Really cool.
All's well that ends well. Lovely. That's what we like to hear. Okay, let's take this to the bar and just give people a reminder, Eddie. Who can you help, and who can help you, and how can people get a hold of you?
So we can help with any marine project, basically, specifically on the Thames. If you've got any projects on the Thames, from filming to PR to civils, we can assist there. And if you've got anything bigger than that, somewhere around the world that's got a water element to it, then I'd be happy to chat, because if I can't help, then probably I'd know someone that can. You can reach me on LinkedIn. I'm quite active on LinkedIn, and you can reach us through our website, which I'm sure Tim will link into this, and on my email as well, which Tim has got as well. So reach out if you've got any watery based stuff.
Watery based stuff. I'll be looking out for that myself. Okay, mate, as we get in the taxi home, are there any kind of final thoughts, anything else you want to sort of add or say?
I just think this concept is great. The Colfeian community has helped me before, and I've tried my best to help others as well. So without we're lucky. We're really, really lucky as a club to have such a broad community that can offer different services and different connections, and we should use it, and we should all pull together at these times to help each other, because that's our biggest strength as a rugby club, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%, mate. Well said. Thank you guys for listening. And as Eddie mentioned, I will link everything that we've mentioned down in the show notes below. And I might even edit in that Red Bull jump if I can find it. So thank you so much for listening to the Colfeian Connection. Please get in touch with Ed if you see a good fit for your business or you can help in any way. And don't forget to tune in next time when I'll be chatting with another quality Colfeian. Eddie, thanks so much again for your time today.
Cheers, guys. Thanks, Tim.
And the people at home, until then, get connected.